To listen to the Maharishikaa in your language, please click on the wheel in the bottom right-hand corner.
You're invited to a live online satsang with Maharishikaa Preeti this Sunday. To know more, click the link in the description below.
Hi, my name is Anand.
Namaskar.
Namaskar.
What's your name?
Vanakkam. Anand. Anand.
Anand.
Yeah. My question is in regards to Maya, especially lust. I'm so carried away by this lust, the physical, the material. I'm an artist, I'm a dancer, especially when I'm on the floor. I don't know who to dance with. I know eventually it's the mind. I know eventually it's the love. Sometimes I feel like maybe I should experience all the lust to get out of it or to control it. This is my question.
Firstly, you're in a very lusty age. So a little bit of lust is, I think, allowed. So lust away. But, it should not be the master in the equation. No? That's what you're asking. How to master this rather powerful force within me? How not to be its victim, right?
Right.
It's important to understand that this is a force that expresses itself not just in the physical. It has the power to express itself in the emotional. It's often expressed in the emotional as love for the partner. It has the ability to express itself in the conceptual part of your being, in your thinking. When you think lovingly about somebody, or you think about wanting to join with somebody, you have those experiences. Or it has the power to express itself in the creative part of your being, in the transformative part of your being, where, let's say, you as a dancer express it in your movements. You can express something with that energy in it, or you can express it without it. You know, it can contain it, or it can be empty of it. Right. There's also another part of your being where love can express itself, or that lust can express itself, which is expressed, of course, as the experience of unity with the other. That force, when it actually moves into this chakra, goes into a unity experience with the other. And when that same force is expressed here, it is expressed as knowledge of the other and the ability to dance with the other in a leela. Between a male and a female, when the lust, which is at the base, is transmuted into this area, they can actually be in a leela with each other, a leela of love, which won't be physical as in the physical, but which will be pluriform. It's no more lust, because lust is generally used as a word in connection with the physical, material part of your being. So it's a simple question of how you transmute that energy. You know, you can transmute it. You can decide, I don't want to express it only physically. I also want to be able to express it emotionally as actual love for that one, which you yourself brought up. You have the experience of, right? Or when you're on the dance floor as a dancer, experiencing it in every movement. So you learn how to transmute it by, there are kriyas. In fact, we recently did that last week. It's a way by which you can pull up this energy and transmute it according to what you want to actually achieve with it. All of that has to start flowing where you are the master and not the victim. That's all. And that is a process you have to learn. You have to decide if you want to take the time, energy, money in order to learn something like that. But you can learn it. There are ways to do it. To start with, already you will find it very interesting if you start to observe. Just observe the energy, because it's at the base chakra, it's down there in the genital area and below it, like a pool like a frothing pool of continuous energy. Rathas. Try to observe it, see how it moves, what is it actually doing. Observation is a first big step. Are you here for a while, for a few days? So then come to the satsangs and try to see the other kriyas that are practiced, or how you can tune inward to the soul, because tuning inward to the soul also helps to equalize this energy.
Right.
Dancers I've seen, they have to deal a lot with that, because they awaken certain, forces also through the movements, especially the movements which are not natural to the body. Depending on what kind of a dancer you are.
Also, sometimes my ego kicks in, historically speaking.
Well, there's not that much of history, is there? You look very young to me.
To explain, if I need to collaborate with a bunch of artists, they could be from any part of the world: Dravidians, Aryans, Europeans, Asians, South Americans. Sometimes I feel like, should I start with my genetic connection, or should I just be open and approach anybody for that matter? Will someone start to feel superior or inferior based on my approach? I want all the opposite sex to be fair and nice. My approach should not make another woman feel inferior or superior. I'm getting stuck on that thought process. When I go and approach a Dravidian woman, I don't want an Aryan woman to get offended. When I go and approach an Aryan woman, I don't want an European woman to get offended.
So you seem to have a woman problem, I would say.
Well, I'm speaking my mind.
If you are clear about who you are, if you're just here and now, joyous, centered as a dancer, you know you have to be centered. It is from that center point that you start everything that you do as a dancer. First, you have to be centered. If you're also centered all through, not just in the physical, but emotionally quiet, just for that one moment, you will notice, interestingly, that it doesn't matter that much which girl you approach. Whether it's Aryan, Dravidian, I haven't heard that expression in a long time, but let's take it. Aryan, Dravidian, European, Asian, and so on. It won't matter so much who you go to, because the point from which you're going is center. Do you feel what I'm saying? It's important as a dancer to feel that center, right? So you feel that center all through. You just take a moment, and there's a kriya you can do, which is the pendulum kriya. All of you can also, those who are interested in it. When you want to center yourself, sometimes people who are not trained in centering themselves, they have the kriya of the pendulum. They just have to go like this a little bit. And then it sits. It's very interesting because it centers you. And as a dancer, you get pulled in so many directions by your lustful nature that you also have to have it under a certain amount of mastery. This is a start. That woman, the 7 women that are all there, or shall we make it 8? What you're actually speaking about is something very important, because as a man, as you are, and you're a good-looking young man, so you have lots of girls lusting for you. Maybe not lusting, wanting love. What you are looking at is not to hurt anyone, which is a very noble thing and is very, very important, especially for the good-looking ones, the women and men, to be very careful how you deal with other human beings, because the more good-looking you are, the more an aberration you are. The more good-looking you are, the more you attract negativity. So it is incumbent on you to be ultra careful, the better looking you are, quote unquote, so that the others do not feel neglected. And the way you do that is by centering yourself. Because then, whichever girl you go to, the others will take it much better, because the one who is approaching is not insecure and strange and motivated by lust, but is centered, quiet, and decisive. Because right now, as I can see in your contours, there is awareness but not decisiveness, born out of insecurity about what the right step is in that moment. So first you get that, you train yourself, because you're a dancer, so you're disciplined physically, you train yourself to center yourself. And this applies to everybody, not just to a dancer. And then you make that step. So then the other girls won't feel quite as neglected. They won't feel, oh, he's going to her because she's, dark-skinned, or because she's fair-skinned, or because she's thin or tall, or whatever it may be. Another interesting aspect to what you were asking is about the genetics. The more aware you are, the more tuned in to source you are, the more present you are, the less it is necessary for you to first deal with your genetic like, the genes that are closest to you. So the more transformed a person is, the less it matters to their physicality who is in front of them, whether it's an Aryan or a Dravidian or a Asian or a Caucasian or whatever it may be. It doesn't matter anymore, because the system is so transformed and the cells so conscious that they're able to deal physically with everything around. If that system is not yet transformed enough, it recognizes differences, because those are actions of the ego, of the cellular ego. So work on your transformation. You're young. You can protect yourself also that way from all the girls. And it's true, because a lot of young men, in fact, I was speaking about this recently in Zurich to a youngster, very good-looking young man, and I said, you have to take double the responsibility about which women you're messing around with, because their curses will stay with you. Women get furious, they get angry, and they send out those curses which last a lifetime sometimes. The more good-looking a woman or man is, the more careful they have to be. Which is why it's a blessing not to be very good-looking. Honestly. Okay, so be responsible. Don't let your genitals lead the way.
Thank you.
You are invited to a live online satsang with Maharishikaa Preeti this Sunday. To know more, click the link in the description below.